Okay, welcome to the show, folks. Hope you find it all well. Got a busy show tonight. Had to rearrange a little bit because we're out down with a guest, but no problem. Got lots to get through. I'm going to be bringing Pippa on and David Lloyd, and we're going to go for the round table as it's been christened format tonight again. See, I've been getting a lot of positive responses from it. We just done it as a one-off a few weeks ago, and then I think we've done 2 or 3. But it seems to be working well, and a lot of people like it. And I'd say I've got a lot of good feedback from it. So I just thought, with being letting down by the guest tonight, I'll revert back to it. I was going to do it for the second hour anyway, but we're going to do it for the full show. So I'm going to start off. I think Pippa should be there. Hello, Pippa.
Good evening, George. Are you okay?
Yes, fine. A little bit of a panic, but yeah, we got sorted. We're just going to start off. Oh, just before we do, if anybody would have been like an open forum, a round table, as I said, if anybody wants to call in or make any contributions, comments, etc., on any of the subjects we're going to be covering, which would probably be, I know we're going to be going through chemtrails and the one that I only found out about really this afternoon when people mentioned it to me is the shipping trails or Shiptrails, which is basically commercial and military ships chemtrailing, or that's what it looks like to us anyway. And also we're going to be going into a scandal. I can only describe it as of a school not far from where Lisa is, not far really from where I am, over in Ellsmere Port on the Wirral. The West Cheshire College introducing RFID technology to track the students. So any callers that want to call in, no problem at all. We're happy to hear from you. Sorry, Pippa, a bit of waffling there at the beginning.
That's okay. It's your show.
So I'm going to bring David in a minute. So we'll do a little bit about. Should we go for the college first? Because that's just outrageous. That's what we found out today.
Yeah, we'll have a chat about what's happening in the States and sort of lead into that, because we can sort of look there to see how they're treating their students that have got RFID chips in tags, and we can sort of then go into what's happening over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Well, do you want to give us a little bit about what's happening in the States with regard to their students, and as you're saying, and then we'll lead onto the West Cheshire College.
Yeah, at the end of August, a news story broke that the Northside Independent School District in Texas was planning to introduce a pilot RFID scheme to 2 of their high schools. And it was basically to improve attendance figures, so they got more money from the state for increased attendance. And so they sort of had this as a pilot running a project, and rightly so, some of the students protested and said, we're not carrying RFID. One student that protested in particular was a 16-year-old girl called Andrea Hernandez. And she appeared on InfoWars, and she's been interviewed. Really great student, fantastic. She's coming from the point of view that, as far as she's concerned, this type of tracking is the mark of the beast. So she's expressing her dissent at this project from a religious point of view and also from a privacy point of view. So 2 points of view there. Yeah. So the school have just said to them, well, basically, it's not. There's no choice in it. This is mandatory. This is compulsory. You've got to wear the RFID chip. So her and quite a few others started protesting and handing leaflets outside the school. They went to a couple of Northside Independent School District Board meetings. They were told they only had a certain amount of minutes to put their case forward. This is all on YouTube, and there's a We Are Change Texas have been following her story. So her appeals were ignored, and basically on November the 13th, her dad got a letter from the school expelling her because she wouldn't wear this RFID chip. The school did say to her as a compromise, I'll tell you what, just wear the lanyard and we'll take the chip out and just pretend you're wearing a chip. And she said, no, because I'm then endorsing a system that I believe to be immoral.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So she refused to go along with it. Because she wasn't wearing the RFID, she couldn't have access to food from the cafeteria. She couldn't go to the library and get books out to help her education. She couldn't purchase any tickets for any school events. She couldn't vote because the old ID that she had and she was shown to teachers was suddenly not sufficient for these human beings that obviously knew who she was for her to take part in the school. So her civil liberties were being removed. I mean, a right to eat and knowledge, just feeding and the library, that's really sending a very strong message, I think, to children that you need to be RFID tracked. Now, this tracking is real time, so somebody somewhere can look at a computer screen and see all these blobs moving around, and those are the children, and each blob's got a number, and so they can identify. She was even told that, the students were even told that they have to wear these RFID cards when they want to go to the toilet. So there's no leaving it with a friend while you quickly nip off to the loo or anything like that. It has to be on you absolutely 24/7. So she's now, or the Rutherford Institute, which is a civil liberties institute in America, they're going to take the school district to court because I think under the first, in the Constitution, the first constitutional thing is about being able to express whether or not you want to take part in government schemes, and you can't, it's up to you how much you interact with government. This has been taken away from her because basically she's been discriminated against because she's not wearing RFID chips. So as far as I am aware, even though I know that there are RFID students in South America, so in quite a large scale, this is, as far as I'm aware, the first case of discrimination against a child for not participating in an RFID location scheme. So watch that case, because maybe something like that might happen over here. We don't know.
No,
so I have... Hold on.
No, sorry, go on.
Well, I have a number of feeds that come through to me because obviously with the biometric technology being regulated as of September 2013 in the Protection of Freedoms Bill, parents now have to consent to their children using biometrics for similar such things such as cafeteria, books, library schemes, registration, because genetically, I suppose one of the points that was raised when this bill went through Parliament is that the parents still own and have rights over their genetic material, which sounds really sort of clinical, but so they raise the age of consent to give your biometrics out in this country has been set at 18 because the UK government thought it was such a complex and ever-changing area that a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old really, it was too young to make an informed decision, a well-educated informed decision. So as far as the UK is concerned, using biometric technology, which is less, I would say actually less invasive than RFID, they've drawn the line at 18. Now, just after I'd written, I have a blog called RFID in Schools, because I thought, now that biometrics is being regulated, I wonder whether actually biometrics in schools might sort of slip out of the market because of this, having to contact both parents and gain written consent for them, in which case the obvious emerging technology would be RFID. So I thought I'll keep an eye on it, and that's how I've been following the case in the States. So I as I say, I only started looking at this sort of end August, and I hadn't picked up at all that any schools in the UK were doing it. So just randomly, I think I typed UK schools RFID, and I think on the 4th or 5th page of Google, which actually, if you want to find something out, don't go for the first 2 or 3 pages, keep going back in Google because you find some real gems. I found an article by the RFID Journal, which is a publication. They had a big conference earlier on in the year in Florida, in Orlando. And one of the UK's schools has been using RFID to track their college students. Now, this is a further education college, so we're talking about children 16 and over, which is why I was mentioning about the biometric consent being 18.
Yeah.
And so we have West Cheshire College, which is a vocational and technical college, issuing out RFID chips on what is called an ultra-wideband frequency, which is far higher than normal RFID and is far more powerful. You can do a lot more things with it, like send documents and send documents to printers. So they're tagging their students with this. I thought, well, I'll go and have a look at West Cheshire College's website. And there's absolutely no mention whatsoever of RFID tracking there. The only 2 articles I can find on it is this RFIDjournal.com, and the company that's supplying the technology is a company called Zebra Technologies, which is based in Illinois in the USA. And they have a great write-up of what's going on in our country with RFID students. Do you want me to try read this out, George?
Yeah, go on for it, yeah.
Okay. This is from the Zebra Technologies website, and I think the use of language of how they describe the commodity that is a student is quite interesting. So here we go. This is dated April 3rd, 2012. Zebra Technologies Corporation today announced that West Cheshire College, a leading vocational college in the northwest part of England, has successfully implemented Zebra's real-time location tracking solution with the ability to track and increase the visibility of about 20,000 students across its 2 campuses. West Cheshire College will discuss how the solution assisted it with facilities, resource optimisation, resulting in a quick return on investment, in a speaking engagement at the RFID Journal Live 2012 10th Annual Conference and Exhibition. And this is what the school had to say. We selected Zebra because of its specialist location solution capabilities. The accuracy and level of detail of the asset tracking information is ideal for this environment, said Kevin Francis, Building Services Area Manager at West Cheshire College. As an organisation increasingly forced to do more with a reduced budget, the solution is a great help in optimising our learning resources. So there we've got students referred to as asset tracking information and learning resources. Zebra's location solutions technology now enables West Cheshire to precisely track, analyse and manage student movements across the building's free-flowing public and learning zones. With an array of occupancy data via real-time reporting, the student management team can see which students are in class at any given time, and presumably at the school nurse, and presumably, this is me speaking now, not in the article, in the toilets, etc., etc. This allows the college to act on certain student movement patterns within the building to efficiently allocate resources and optimise staff and resourcing capacity across different learning areas. So it says here, West Cheshire is a unique customer for us, and the innovative way they are using our technology endorses the value of Zebra location solution technology can bring to organisations across all sectors to help achieve greater operational efficiencies. At Zebra, we are continuing to explore ways to make complex location technologies accessible across all vertical markets. So West Cheshire College now benefits from over 95% first-time accurate location of personnel to within 3 metres across the campus, across both campus facilities. The enhanced occupancy tracking analysis provides a wide range of accurate and usable management information. I bet it does. Sorry.
No, all this to me. This is microchipping the population through the back door. This by stealth, all of it. I think it's important. The reference you made to the students in America is because it might sound, a lot of people do when you hear stories come from the States, oh, I'm Americans, what do you like? But this is beta tested in America. It's been implemented in America, and we know for a fact what happens in America comes here, follows here, and you can see. I mean, the girl's been ostracised basically in the school or college because of her refusal to take part in this. Well, to me, it's another social experiment. What we were speaking about earlier on today, and as regards to this one in this college. I don't. Did you mention it, the cost that was the money that was put in from the lottery fund Pippa?
No, the West Cheshire College has recently built a sort of extension of the campus at Ellsmere Port, costing 65 million, and with I think £2 million coming from lottery funding. Now,
20 million.
Plus 20 million, yes, sorry, you're right, George. This particular system that they're employing for RFID, I think, is coming in at up to about $400,000. So that's, nearly, I would guess, take a guess at sort of £250,000.
Yeah, somewhere down there, yeah. And it's these Orwellian phrases, asset tracking. So obviously the students, we were talking about people here, young adults, students, assets, that and location solution. What does that say, location solution? It's unbelievable. No, instead of just saying what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's dehumanising it completely. And
yeah.
I mean, I've nearly got to the end of this article, but it did actually say in this article on their website, this allows West Cheshire to ensure appropriate government funding by accurately recording and reporting enrolment and attendance to ensure the efficient use of college resources and generate income opportunities. It's all about the money, much like it is in the States. Can I just backtrack? Yeah. Sorry, the system doesn't cost him between $4,000 and $6,100. He thinks that's what they're going to save by implementing RFID. And this is the same with the US school. They think over a period of, I think, 2 or 3 years, the extra government funding will come to something like $1.7 million more because they can guarantee the students are in the school. So they're not necessarily at registration, but they might be in the toilet or they might be at a sports team, something. So I can sort of see the logic in it, but I just think that this type of location device service for asset tracking children in schools is completely wrong. And apart from anything else, the frequencies and the RFID have not been proven to be healthy. That whatever small trials have been done probably involve PET and RFID chips, and it's not looking good. It's looking like these things long term can create cancers in the body. So having an RFID tag on you is an unknown health risk at the moment. Nothing has been proved or not proved. But I'm not convinced these students know what they're carrying because there's no mention of it whatsoever on the school website. I mean, I'm saying we're only going off these 2 web pages. The company itself that sold Zebra Technology, that sold the RFID, and the RFID journal. There's no confirmation from the school, the college, that this is happening. So I'm actually going to send them a Freedom of Information request to confirm that they are tracking their students via RFID. Certainly I don't see any reason why the RFID journal or Zebra Technologies would lie about somebody from the school going to speak in the States about this. So I think at this point in time, I'll just say the school haven't confirmed it, but hopefully by in the next month we can get some confirmation from the school that these students are being tracked.
I think as well, when we get time, because we only got onto this afternoon, but I mean, I don't know whether we get, I know we get listeners nationally and internationally, but I'm just thinking over what we were speaking about this afternoon, about the parents and any objections. We couldn't really find anything this afternoon, could we? And if you've got 20,000 pupils, that is unbelievable. That's got to be, if not the biggest, one of the biggest educational facilities in the country. And as you said today, 20,000 parents, or could be 40,000 if you count both, parents, are they acquiescing to this? Are they, yeah, no problem at all, just track our kid. There's not one objection on any level at all. I find it hard to believe. There has been objections. We can't find any up to now.
Well,
we haven't been able to. This
is why I'm not convinced the students or the parents know possibly what is going on. Because, Andrea Hernandez was objecting on religious grounds, and I know certainly when fingerprinting came into the primary school my children were at, there were a couple of quite Christian families that objected to this type of biometric tracking because it conflicted with their religious beliefs. That you're not telling me that out of 20,000 students there isn't somebody who has some sort of moral dilemma with carrying RFID.
No, there's at that age as well. There's a lot of them are wearing away. They'll be the students themselves without the parents, and a lot of the parents obviously. But a lot of the students are savvy enough to get onto this and go. Now, I don't want, whether it might just be through rebellious youth where they, at that age and like to rebel against anything, or they are actually generally thinking, no, I don't want to be a part of the system. I'm sure, and for me, it's just too quiet, isn't it? There's just seems to be no resistance or no, not even any questioning of it. Maybe they don't know, they're not aware of it.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because it is RFID that they're using. RFID comes in different frequencies. So you can get a low frequency, a high frequency, an ultra high frequency, or a microwave RFID chip. And they're all operating at different hertz and frequencies. This particular frequency is ultra high, or ultra wideband, sorry, and this is quite a high frequency RFID. I don't know enough about frequencies to know whether or not it's a good frequency or a bad frequency, but having listened to Barry Trower on the Unpenned show, Paul's show, a couple of weeks ago, no frequency is good.
No.
I wouldn't let my kids be anywhere near this, especially if they were wearing it around the neck. So we don't know if these kids are wearing it, whether it's in a card, a lanyard. I don't know. This is something that we could find out from the school.
I think I picked up on something on one of them articles or one of the pages this afternoon. I might be mistaken with this. Is that the darts that they refer to, if I recollect rightly, is some form of lapel pin or badge type thing that maybe it will clip into the pocket or clip onto the lapel. I mean, it's going to have to be fastened securely the way students are, the way everyone is. It can be easily lost, so it's going to have to be fastened, I say, securely. And I'm almost certain that I've seen something referred to as a lapel pin or something like that.
I can say it just says here, after initially planning to issue active Wi-Fi tags, which again is radio frequency, to students that would communicate with each respective building's Wi-Fi network. So whatever form of Wi-Fi tag comes in, I'm just trying to scan the document at the moment.
I was searching for individual students and staff from the West Cheshire College to see if anybody. Are you referring to if anybody's actually made any objection to this?
No. I was just reading through the RFID Journal article on it on page 3. It says this Kevin Francis, who's the building services area manager or whatever he is at the school, said this software will provide reports if students or staff are leaving early, fair enough, stating we can search for individual students or staff and we can look at them in groups, such as peer groups. And that is a level of privacy invasion that has not happened, I think, in any sort of scale as such in the UK, where we get teachers looking at associations and friendships. I mean, are they drawing conclusions from that? There was something that hit the news, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, saying that schools have databases on children and all these, all these things are put against these children, and yes, they are. I think it's called an IPM, it's called an individual pupil number each child has. And against that goes academic achievement, subjective comments, actually. So schools can put opinions on there, and that individual pupil number stays with that person right the way through school. Height, weight, possibly the books they're reading, etc., etc. Now, if students are being surveilled to the point where they're looking at peer groups and which other students they're associating with, or maybe if they go to the toilet very frequently, or maybe if they go to the school nurse very frequently, assumptions will be made about pupils from this technology. I mean, I'm certainly not aware of any sort of tracking device used in schools or even used with adults that will enable other people to see who you're associating with in your own free time as well. That's important. I mean, fair enough for classrooms and attendance. Well, not even fair enough, but I can see logic for that. But there's a lot of free time that students have when they're in college, and they clearly say we can search for individual students and stuff, and we can look at them in groups, such as peer groups. And I just think that's really dangerous, and I'm sure the students can't possibly know about that. I mean, I would and be compliant. I mean, do they know what this person's saying about them? That they're going to look at them in peer groups?
It's whether they're it's whether as well that they're actually interested in. I'm getting an echo here. Sorry, Pippa.
No,
are you on headset?
Yeah, I'm on a headset. Maybe.
I'm getting an echo.
It sounds okay, George.
I'm getting an echo here. Yeah, it's whether a lot of them are actually interested or distracted in some way to not be bothered looking into any of this. If they're given a tag and it's just you're just using this for the library, or you're just using this for the canteen, or for whatever reason they're given, and you don't see any other darker aspects to it, it's just another thing that happens to us in school. And also with regard to the records, I think pupils are I've never been as monitored as they are now, and I mean that with records held on them, with all the information on it. So I'm not too sure whether they would actually be questioning it themselves in any numbers. Sorry.
I don't know whether they would. I mean, I think if they knew about it, they may, and certainly if they knew the schools even had the facility to look at what they were doing in their social time and looking at who they were hanging around with. I couldn't imagine, out of 20,000 students, a lot of them, there must be a fair sized group of them that would object about that. The thing about this sort of technology is that if this technology is useless unless you have as near to 100% take-up as possible, there's no point knowing where 80% of your students are, because you've still got 20% that are unaccountable for. So maybe they're not aware. Maybe it hasn't just quite happened yet. I mean, certainly when this article was written, this was in April, they were just at the point of implementing it, and certainly I think a good proportion, I think 5,000 students had been issued with tags. Maybe not the full 20,000, but it's certainly, and this is why I'd like to use a freedom of information request to ask the school, which is a private corporation because education establishments are nowadays, but they still are obliged to give information under the Freedom of Information Act because they're providing a public service. So I'd like to get some more details on what's happening at the school. I think on this, but certainly definitely want to keep an eye out. And if I only found this by stumbling across it on 3 or 4 pages into Google by randomly just typing in UK schools RFID, how many other schools are using it? How many building schools for the future buildings have gone up with this integrated in it?
Yeah, I think it's worth as well, as I said, the freedom of information request. It's worth just letting them know. I say we're not aware of any of the parents or students who's actually raising any points with this, but it's worth letting them know that there are people out there that are not only picked up on what's going on in the school and what they're implementing, but that they're taking enough time out to make a freedom of information request to find out more information about what's going on. You know, it might make them a little bit wary, thinking we're not just under the radar here, or nobody's noticed what we're doing. Whether, I mean, for me, I think it's more profit than anything else. I think it's money orientated than any Big Brother reason behind it. But in saying that, we have to look into it either way, either or, whether it's just for pure profit or there is that other sinister aspect to it. We still have to look into it, and we have to let them know we are.
Yeah, and I think as well, I mean, I recently had a bank card replacement, and I got the card, and it had the 3 little semicircles increasing that. I thought that's an RFID signal. That's chip. I've got a card that's chipped, and so I rang up the bank and said, I got an RFID chip in my bank card now. And I said, oh yeah, it's great because you don't have to, you don't have to put your PIN in anymore. You can just wave it at a reader in 20, you can say only spend up to 20 quid. So I said, if somebody steals my bank card, they've got access to my money. Oh yeah. So I said, how can that be more secure? Plus the fact, I don't want to be emitting radio frequency waves. I don't want it near me. So I said, can I send my card back? And can I have my old card, back? Sort of the same sort of thing that my old card did. And so they said, yes, brilliant. At the moment, banks are saying yes to this. I guess probably in 5, 10, 15 years' time, it will just be there. And you won't be able to opt out of RFID chips. So anybody who's got the RFID sign on their bank card and not happy with carrying an RFID chip, do ask your banks if you can revert back to your old style card. It will. At the moment, they're still doing that, so I can still access my money. And only I can access it, and if my card's stolen, they can't. But again, I'm for health reasons, apart from any sort of privacy argument this raises. I mean, that school must be cooking.
Yeah.
With the amount of frequencies, if this is done on a high frequency Wi-Fi,
as you said earlier, referring to Barry Tower and the EMF waves, I mean, he was talking about our own homes and the amount of EMF waves that are generated from just appliances and mobile phones, computers, etc. Now, you're absolutely right. You put that to 20,000 pupils. This is without any teaching staff or auxiliary staff, etc. 20,000 pupils with tags on with the radio waves. Sorry, not the radio waves. Radio frequency waves flying about in one compound, in one area. It must be unbelievable. I'd like to get who was it? I don't know whether it was on one of our shows. Oh, I think it was young Stuart on Paul's show who said he bought a gadget to measure EMF waves and radio frequency waves. Now, I'd love to take that device onto either of them campuses. The needle would go off the register, wouldn't it? It'd be unbelievable.
You have two types of RFID chips. You can get passive chips and you can get active chips. Now, the chip in my bank card was a passive chip, so it didn't activate until it was near a scanner that could talk to it. So basically, the scanners are like radio sets, and I'm like a radio mast. So I'm constantly emitting radio frequencies, and when I get near a scanner, it picks up. So when you have a passive one, I'm not constantly emitting radio waves. I only emit them when I'm near a scanner. So in some senses, the card might not have been too bad for me health-wise, but I still choose not to take RFID with me wherever I go. But in order for you to get real-time location service, which is what this college is saying it can do by looking at students all the time, I'm no RFID expert, but as I believe, those chips would have to be active, like permanently active, not just passive when they hit a scanner. Mm-hmm. But again, this is something that I'd like to clarify before we say that it's a definite that they are wearing active RFID chips in the north of England in this college. So, but that's where I'm sort of going with that. So, yes, if they are being tracked real time, I'm virtually certain there will be active RFID and not passive RFID chips. So they will be emitting. So
it's all the implications of all of this for me. It was the reason one of the reasons I was bringing David in was what he mentioned today about what I referred to before we played the song. It's the nano chip, which I'm sure we did put the picture up on the old web page, and it was a person's forefinger, and he was a minute tiny black dot on the end of the forefinger, and that was the chip. Yeah. And that was, I think, was that from 2005, 2006? That article that came from.
Yeah, it's not a new technology at all. It has RFID chips that you can inhale and be dusted with. I'll just get
Yeah. And just while I think on... Hello?
Yes,
Oh,
hello?
got that. I'm getting all kinds of strange noises here. Just while I think on Pippa, if, on our webpage, if you can put your blog, the RFID and schools blog, I don't know if it's already up there, because
I think I've just put it up.
I'll just put up, that's worthwhile information. Not just in the chat room, but on the actual web page itself. I think it's it's worth putting that up there.
There's also a Facebook group as well called RFID in Schools, which is a mirror of the blog. Depending on how you get your news, you can either go to the blog and pick up what's happening, or you can pick it up on Facebook. But there's the details of the web pages on there as well.
Yeah, because I referred to earlier, these government initiatives where they want to vaccinate all newborn babies. How do we don't know, we're not aware whether any of them chips are being put into them vaccines. They're so tiny, nobody'd notice, and it would certainly be able to be administered in a hypodermic. And as I refer to the flu jabs as well, it will be in there. You know, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I haven't seen any, but it certainly would surprise me at some stage if they would try to implement the flu jabs to be compulsory.
Do you know, it's really interesting talking about health and RFID chips, because I was looking at this ultra-wave Wi-Fi band RFID that they're using, and I mean, I think we spoke about 2 o'clock this afternoon, didn't we? And I think at that point I'd just stumbled on this article, so we've not been quite aware of this, have we? Literally only a few hours. But there was an article on ultra-wave frequencies that literally, do you remember on Star Trek when Dr. whatever it was, the Scottish guy, Scotty, would scan you with a thing, and it would look at you and say, oh yes, you're healthy. Yeah. Well, apparently we're on the verge of inventing that gadget that they had on Star Trek, and the frequency that they're using to check the body and to check the health of the body is this ultra wave frequency band, interestingly enough. So that's just, I have no idea whether the two correlate, as you know, to students walking around in them, but that's the sort of frequency they can test how healthy your body is at. So that definitely needs a bit more research doing it.
Yeah, but that technology, with regards to the scanning, I mean, we've said it before, any technology that's given to us is usually at least 30 to 50 years old. If we get it commercially, if they're using it in industry or they're using it in health or they're using it in education, they're well ahead of the game with us. For me, it would not surprise me at all if all this is the likes of the nano chips have been or are being implemented as we speak without our knowledge. I mean, there's that many ways that it can be administered into the human body. It's unbelievable, which we've gone through before. You know, whether it's stuff to come in, it could be in the chemtrails, could be airborne, could be ingested, could be through the skin, absorbed through the skin. That sign, that miniaturised now. It could be anywhere at all.
The technology is certainly there. I think if they're RFID tracking school kids, college students, without telling them, then what's to say they're doing other stuff that they're not telling us about and tracking us about? I can't see that the college would not have told the children how they're being monitored. But as I say, certainly there's no whiff of it on their website. So we need to see. But yes, I get the point about certainly the technology's there with the nano chips. We just hopefully have to hope that that's not happening. I guess one way to test if you are chipped or not is to test your frequencies, if there's any such device that can do that, to know that you're not being chipped. I mean, certainly in the States, I mean, the RFID rose its ugly head in 2005 when they tried to tag some students in California, And I was actually in touch with one of the mums at the school who had seen that we were fingerprinting over here, and we sort of got in touch and gave each other a bit of moral support. But they actually, in California, ended up providing a bill to say that kids shouldn't be tracked with RFID. And certainly in Wisconsin, in that state, there is a bill that states that it is illegal to RFID chip a human. And anybody found chipping a human is subject to $10,000 a day fine, which is an expensive job. So for every day that human is tracked. So there's legislation in place in the states to prevent excessive use of RFID, but again, each state has different legislation. So, and that's the whole point of the United States. You know, if you don't like living in one state with the laws say, you go to another state and you go and live in that state. So, but we have, I'm not aware of any specific RFID legislation here in the UK or the EU. I guess any sort of surveillance like that would come under the Data Protection Act. And certainly this, as far as I'm aware, and I do keep in touch with the privacy sector and surveillance, this is the first time I'm aware of RFID being used in a school anywhere in the UK. So I think we need to find out some more information about it and see if there are any other schools that have this sort of technology in, and make parents and children aware that they can be tracked.
Yeah, I think we're going to uncover a lot more on this now. I've just got a feeling about it that it's been too easy for us to pick up on that today, and it was just by chance. I've got a feeling if we start delving into this, which you know you will certainly, and I will myself, we will come across a hell of a lot more, not just educational facilities. I know on a personal basis over in the employment place that a lot of this is being implemented in there as well, with the same type of intimidation though of you can't use this facility, you can't use the canteen, you can't do this, you can't do that. I know that. I think we need to be on this. We're going to be going into the second hour now, and we wanted to get into the chemtrails and the other thing about the Shiptrails. Just a word on the jingle there. The conference on Saturdays, as it says, and it's been run from 11 till 9 o'clock at night on Saturday. It's £10 a ticket. We did reduce them to £10 a ticket, half the price of the original price that they were. I said it before, I said it last week, I'll say it again. These speakers are not just turning up, rehashing and regurgitating information that we can get on YouTube and that we can look up anywhere. These people individually have got a lot of it is brand new information, and not just important information, but information that can help all of us, and also you've got solutions as well to the problems that we're facing. I say not just giving us the information and then saying, okay, then now will you buy me DVD or my book, or I'll see you at the next conference or my next talk. It's not finance based. This is all about information and solutions to problems that we're facing. So for me, this is the conference that people should be looking at, because the feedback I believe that's going to come after the conference. There's going to be people sitting out there probably listening now going, why didn't I go? And I think it's going to be a resounding success myself. So Saturday, £10 a ticket, 7 speakers, 7 great speakers with solutions as well. We were going to move on to chemtrails, which we cover a lot on the station, not just on this show, but gets covered a lot on the station. And we do need to keep updating and refreshing it and keeping it in people's minds, because it is for me, it's one of the most important issues that we face, because obviously we're being sprayed by like bugs. So we wanted, and also we've got some, maybe not total solutions, but some ways of combating it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there on YouTube, there's a lot of stuff that we've put out as well on combating the chemtrails. But today, when you mentioned that over the ships doing the chemtrailing, that was a totally new one on me. Just give us a couple of things on it, please, Pippa, and also the sites that you sent to me, the links, if you can put them up in the chat room for people to go and have a look at, because you can distinguish, can't you, between the two?
Yeah.
Ship chemtrailing and aircraft chemtrailing.
I think the thing that's more insidious to me about the stuff that comes out of ships is the fact that it's done on the oceans and there is nobody there to see it. You know, we can all put our heads back and look up at the skies and see the mess that's being made, regardless of your view of whether you think it's geoengineering or whatever is in the exhaust. There's something in the exhaust for the particles to stay around for so long. So yes, I was aware that you can get ship contrails too. Now, if you ask somebody in government about contrails or chemtrails, I say, oh no, chemtrails don't exist. These contrails are ice particles because it's very cold up in the sky. Well, that's great. It's not cold at sea level, so what's coming out of the ships? So yes, there's a link that I'm looking at here. I'll just pop it in the chat room if I can do that. Let's have a look. I should do it at some point, actually. I'm just not opening the web page at the moment. So yes, the difference between contrails and aircraft contrails and ship contrails is aircraft contrails tend to be in really straight lines, and you can see where they start and see where they finish. Ship contrails are like plumes because they're coming from a ship, and because of the way that ships, I mean, obviously ships go in straight lines, I presume they do, and they go in curves as well, but I think because of the nature of how it's being let into the environment, these contrails are quite curved. I'll just put an article into the chat room message box there. There's a photograph on the end of that. But if you just if you go to Google Images and type in ship contrails, you get a fantastic array of great photographs that have been taken from satellites, because that's basically how you look at ship contrails, with satellite photos. And there was one in particular that I caught sight of from a tracking station in Scotland that was taken on the 23rd of February this year, and there were 3 huge plumes that came off the coast of northern Spain, and the wind had taken what had come from these plumes right across southern France. So I went to the Sat24 website, which is a real-time satellite imagery website, and it has history. So I went back to the 23rd of February this year, and I went to have a look and check what was going on. And sure enough, these plumes started off the coast of Spain around about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and it was static, a static plume. So this ship wasn't going anywhere. And that carried on, I think, probably until about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the very least. The plume was still there, but I couldn't be certain after that because of the imagery whether or not it was still emitting. So there were some ships that was there for quite a few hours, or something was there for quite a few hours, emitting a huge amount of stuff into the environment. And so, much like you can get Flight Tracker, so you can look at the aeroplanes, there is a website called marinetraffic.com, which is basically the equivalent, the marine equivalent of Flight Tracker. So you can go on there and you can have a look at what ships are there. And so I thought, I'll go and have a look, and I'll see if I can. If there was a static ship there on the 23rd of February earlier this year, and I wasn't particularly expecting there to be, because obviously these things were marked, but there was one ship that was quite static that slipped in and out. So getting information from a number of different sources is always good to check these things out. I'll just put the Marine Tracker website in the chat box there. So yes, do Google ship contrails or chemtrails, because there's a huge amount that's coming out of them. I mean, like I say, regardless of what your opinion is on geoengineering, whether we are being, or certainly being sprayed by something, but it's also coming out of the ships as well. So yes, there are a big hoo-ha about what's coming out of aircraft because we can see it. However, the ship contrails are not as visible. So anybody living near the coast, anywhere in Europe, in the States, because it happens all over the world. Get your binoculars out, and if you see anything, let's take some photos and get them out there, because this particular aspect of geoengineering or chemtrailing isn't as well known as the aircraft aspect.
Yeah, I think what I mentioned was we do need images of the actual ships themselves in the water. We've got aerial images and satellite images. We've got them. There's plenty of them about, but I've yet to see a picture of the ship in profile, how it's spraying, and basically, obviously we're not going to know the details of what it is spraying, but we do see it with the video and the still imagery of the aircraft, where they're stop and starting it. We need a lot of that if we can, and also if we can find any whistleblowers that have worked on ships, maybe naval crew, not necessarily military, from the military or from the navy, but if any of it's been commercial shipping, where they've done trips on ships, we've worked on them, which they do, and they'll go to another boat and etc. But if we can get any of them as well, because I had a little look this afternoon, but I can't seem to see any actual still images, or certainly not any video footage. There's plenty of aircraft that are spraying. We can't seem to find any. You can see it clearly. The pictures that you sent to me from, is that the Dundee complex where you sent them ones through for me, Pippa?
Yes,
it's the channel and the Bay of Biscay.
Yes.
And you can see it clearly there.
Looking at it's interesting reading NASA's explanation of this. There's an article here from the Huffington Post. It says, clouds normally form when water vapour condenses around a tiny particle like dust or salt. Ships can spur this process by burning fossil fuels and emitting small aerosol particles. Really? Which serve as a nuclei for the formation of new clouds. Because the ship's moving quickly across the ocean, these cloud nuclei are left behind like trails of breadcrumbs, providing a family circle style track of ship travels. Okay, so this is a more detailed explanation from NASA. So in order for such clouds to form, three things need to occur. Okay, first, the ship must emit small particles in the exhaust, which provides the cloud condensation nuclei. Second, there must be very humid air in the ship's path. And third, the air surrounding the vessel must be non-turbulent. And all three conditions were met on the day this particular image was captured, that it says on the Huffington Post site. So that's the official explanation of how ship chemtrails occur. So, but they happen over hundreds and hundreds of miles. They're very large. I would sort of say, I think some of them can be larger than aircraft chemtrails. But I've just put as well back in the chat box a Google image search on ship chemtrail, and there's plenty of images there. You can see they're slightly different from chemtrails. They're more curved. They come from a plume, and they tend to spread out a little bit more.
Yeah. Just jumping in a minute, please, Pippa. Mm-hmm. I've got a caller on the line. I've got a feeling I know who it is, and hopefully we should have another caller in a minute, because this one should be our own Paul Giovanni. Paul, are you there, mate?
Hi guys, are you okay?
Yes, fine.
Hello,
I think we're going to get another call. I think Dave's going to try and call him, because we just can't raise him on the Skype. We've got him on the call, but there's no audio coming through, so I think he is going to call through via the page as well. What's happening? What's happening, okay?
Alright, hi Pippa, you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks, Paul. How are you?
Brilliant. Well, just listening to the conversation here, and just because chemtrails was one of the first things that sort of sparked me into waking up, would you believe? There's a chap in Canada who has a YouTube channel, and he's called Manny, and he started off, much as we are now, saying these chemtrails, it's blocking out the sun, or it's just mass poisoning, and this, that, the other. He is now gone on, it's a bit far-fetched, but he's been saying for a long while now that this is basically food for a sort of alien race that is not attacking us, but is on this planet, if you like, and that's what it's for. Now, that sounds really bizarre and out there, but when you start watching these videos and what this guy's saying and what these chemtrails do, it's really strange how it all ties in, and he's not the only person as well. Now, some of it is out there, some of it, I spoke to this guy and I said, come on mate, this is just too far-fetched beyond belief, but forget the aliens, this, that, the other, and all that type of thing, but what he's saying is, it's a food source.
It's not that far-fetched as it sounds, you know, because I've got a full article, I'll have to send it over to both of you, of a lad called Dave Stout in the States, and I think he's a radio host as well, but he's a writer, and he sent me an article that he wrote, and he reckons that if he's got the documentation and the proof of it, is that I think it's maybe 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, which would tie in with when chemtrailing, well, we became aware of it, that there was a life form, whether it's alien or not, but there's a life form discovered by scientists, and it does, he actually puts the name in it, it's a couple of months since I read it now, I think Ashon or something like that, or Ashon, the name of it, of the life form. I'll dig it out and I'll put it up on the page. But he did say that this life form was feeding off the chemtrails. Now the video that I watched today from Leeds, from Sacha, who's going to be coming on the show, she's got a lot to share with people. She filmed. She's moved to Liverpool now, but she's originally from Leeds, and she put that. She made that clip that I sent through to you today, mate. And I've never seen that before, where the trail starts to break up, and then silver objects appear and start rising from the actual chemtrail itself. I've never seen that, mate. Sorry, mate.
So it's got you. I have, and for a long time, and this chap, and I've tried to get him. He's a great chap, but he's been showing video footage like that from all over the world of objects flying away from these. He actually thinks the planes that you see or putting these chemtrails out aren't planes. He thinks it's all part of it, and it's just basically just spraying a load of food in the air, and like you sprinkle fish food in, and everyone just do all these little things just jump up or whatever they are. It's so far-fetched in some respects that he has lost so many views because it's just too way out there. But there's an element of what his quarter of it, of what he's saying, makes a hell of a lot of sense. The more it goes on, the more evidence, the more people are actually coming forward. And some of the footage that he's had over the last year has been unbelievable.
But only in saying, I know, as you say, you know, it sounds far-fetched and it's, you know, out there and whatever, but only a few years ago, even now, but I mean, certainly 2-3 years ago, when people had mentioned chemtrails, even to people who were aware or awake, allegedly, they just go like that, no, you're going too far with it now. Do you know what I mean? Okay, New World Order, Illuminati, etc. But I'm not having that. They're not spraying. They're not spraying. And now it's more or less. It is mainstream. I've seen it reported in the mainstream. They started to mention it, and I think there's some MPs starting to make rumblings about it as well. So you know.
It's our generation again, isn't it? That you say, you know, you used to lie down on the grass when you were a kid after playing, and you look up, and you know, like you say, and these planes would go by, and the trails would dissipate after 5 minutes, if that. So it's our generation. I mean, I've said this many times, and it's because I've had so much backlash from it of people, so-called normal people. But you know, it's interesting what you say with this Pippa. You said about the ships there as well. I can't believe that. I mean, I should believe it, really.
There's another thing that just came to mind as well. I'm just trying to remember about the article, was that he mentioned the mix, the soup, if you will, of the chemtrails itself, what makes it up, and he mentioned the usual aluminium, barium, strontium, etc. But he also did say that there was some form of nano tissue inside the mix as well, and that was partly to feed, or either was this entity or life form, or it was as part of feed it, and we ingest it, we breathe it in, and it accumulates on the pineal gland and starts calcifying. We know different elements calcify the brain anyway, but it works on the pineal gland to subdue our consciousness and our awareness. Have you all know?
It's such a, like you say, because all right, the alternatives then to what we're saying are, right, it's blocking out the sun, and they're doing it because the sun's getting hotter and it's 2012 and they're trying to protect us, right? Or they're doing it to poison everybody. Either way, it's all fantastical. Whatever reason it is, I mean, like you say, if you to say to most people that the government are spraying us with all these chemicals just to poison us and depopulise, they're not. It's all every answer to chemtrails doesn't make sense. It's not for our own good, and it's not to protect us. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Pippa.
Yeah.
Yeah, just with you posting, and like I said, I shouldn't be surprised at what you've shown us there with these ships. But it makes more sense now that they're compounding what they're doing in the in the skies from every angle really, that they are attacking us, or right, let's not say attacking us, but are doing what they're doing, should we say?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the ship contrails is it's not, people don't always know about it because it's not happening above your head and you can't see it. But I mean, like, regardless of what's coming out of them, maybe it is cloud, maybe it is cloud, but then that is in itself geoengineering, isn't it? They're creating clouds to wipe out the Earth, or inadvertently creating clouds. If you're coming from the very sort of best point of view, okay, well, they're just creating clouds. Well, yeah, just don't create clouds. If there's that much rubbish coming out of, if that much rubbish was coming out of my exhaust, I'm sure my neighbours would have something to say about it, but it's not coming out of car exhaust, is it? Because it would be too plain. But it's coming out of shit.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you started your car up and your exhaust coughed out a load of black smoke, or coughed out all that crap onto your next door, and their kids were playing out, they'd be knocking on your door saying, "What, you need to sort your car out, or go and park it somewhere else." That's a good point.
That's right. So we know that technology is all around us for clear, free pollution, which maybe you should see it actually, because then it makes us more aware of our carbon footprint or how we're treating the Earth. I mean, there is that argument, but we know that cars and trucks don't emit, or trains. I am not aware of trains emitting contrails, and certainly cars don't, as far as I'm aware. So why can't ships? Why do ships have to do it? I mean, surely the same, NASA's sort of saying there's three things that need to exist: humid air, the exhaust has got to have small particles in, and it's got to be non-turbulent. Well, I'm sure where I live we've had humid air, and it's been non-turbulent. My car hasn't had big white trails coming out the back of it. So I think just from a purely environmental point of view, regardless of anything else, that it's not good, is it? It's not good just to see that much pollution on the Earth.
No, as I say, they're definitely doing something that is blatantly obvious. Well, it is to us and to most reasonable-minded people. Some people just won't believe what they see, but it's definitely happening. It's just what there is. There could probably usually is a number of reasons why they do these things. We go through different explanations, and for me, any of them is open. Any of them are open.
Well, because they're not admitting it, and there is no admission that anything's going on, it's purely open to speculation. I mean, if you type in chemtrails on the internet, there's over 10 million entries, I think, on Google. So, I mean, if there's nothing going on, apart from anything else, there's a mass psychosis that's going on.
Yeah.
Because everybody's convinced that there's something going on. So,
well,
whatever aspect you're looking at it from, whether you're even looking at it from well, they're not doing anything at all. Well, if they're not doing anything at all, why are we seeing it all on satellite imagery? Something's going on.
I was just thinking, it's a question that what I wanted to sort of ask you guys about, what the reason for my calling is, you mentioned whistleblowers before. Now, this all right. A lot of people are suggesting that cloud formation doesn't exist at all. It's always been chemtrails for the last sort of 30, 40 years. That's what's been doing it. Now, if there are people that are obviously spraying this stuff, military or whoever, they must be on some pay packet to be keeping quiet this long.
Well, there's actually an email. Now, did Dave send that email through to you, Pippa?
With the blog of the
whistleblower, he remained anonymous, but he was a mechanic for the airlines. Dave sent it through to me this afternoon. I'll try and put it in the chat box, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really want to start opening pages because the computer crashes before I come on the air, but I will have a look, and I'll put it, in fact, I'll send it to you, Pippa, and you can put it in the chat box just to be on the safe side. It's basically it's an email that's out there that's been put on the net from obviously you can believe this or not. I mean, anybody could put this together because I'd say he's anonymous, but he's basically saying, by the sounds of it, he knows the workings of an aircraft, and he's basically saying, you know, he came across this. There was problems with it. I think it was over the exhaust or the air conditioning. When he investigated it, this is when he discovered what was going on, i.e. that there was chemicals there that were being sprayed out of the aircraft. Now, that's a whistleblower on that side, and I think there's a couple more. But it'd be interesting if we could find out if there's any whistleblowers with regards to the shift, as I say, because there's I only had a couple of hours to have a look anyway, but there was very little information with regards to it than what there is obviously with the aircraft. I'm just looking for that email now.
I just put it in the chat box, so I found it.
You found it, yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's a Facebook link to a blog that you should be able to find out from the goldenrule.org website.
Yeah, is that the email? Yeah, the email I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's from whistleblower from airline.
Mhm. Yeah. So that's so people can go and read that and make what they will of it. But yes, there's if that report is accurate, then yeah, it's just interesting because he was sort of saying that the waste pipes are completely different, aren't they, from what should be exhaust waste to something else. And I think the problem is with these things, it's compartmentalised, isn't it? You don't, one person somewhere doesn't necessarily know what another person is doing, and you know, nobody's got the bigger picture. And we just all sort of look up in the sky and see what's going on and put two and two together and probably get four. But we all we can do is suppose what's happening, I think. But you know, at the very least, there's some sort of pollution going on, isn't there? Whatever it is.
Well, the only thing that, as you say, over compartmentalisation is it's the pilot for me. If you've got pilot and a co-pilot, how many aircraft are flying in the skies at any given time? How many pilots there are? And surely there must be pangs of conscience to say, well, I'm spraying my own family, my own kids, my own country, my own friends, you know, and it just doesn't seem to be that many. There are ones, but it just doesn't seem to be that many that have come forward.
Exactly.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry, George. You think that, I mean, they're sort of their operation for the day. I mean, these guys know what's going on. These pilots, surely, then every day of the week they're getting sent up just to fly up and down over an area, spraying. So surely, like you said, there's something in these people. Then again, you know, if sort of go back to 9/11, you know, planes that are sort of remotely controlled, if you like. So it could be all of that.
Yeah, it's got to be. There's got to be some reason behind it, because there must be literally hundreds of thousands of pilots, and I mean, you know, if they've got 10, 15, 20 years flying experience, they're going to know. They're going to know, even though they're at the front of the plane and whatever. But they're going to know when they're on the ground and they see airplanes go above them. They've got obviously more technical knowledge about an aircraft than an ordinary person in the seat, and surely they must look up and go, that doesn't look right coming out of that airplane. That's not a contrail. You know, it just.
But what about just normal pilots? Just, you know, you sort of an EasyJet pilot, that type of thing. That person who's been, like you say, flying planes for 10, 20 years, and they must be looking and saying, actually, that never used to be like that. I wonder why that's happening.
Yeah.
There must be, firstly, people at airports must be thinking that as well.
Well, there's another aspect of it. People who actually work without having experience of flying planes, but who've worked around airports for any length of time, they've got to notice. They've got to notice.
Another aspect of society that would be good to talk to on this subject would be plane spotting groups. Yeah. You know, these people have got binoculars and look up in the sky and see planes that are flying around, and they also sit at the end of plane runways and they can see the planes that are coming in and out. So it's just the thought that, you know, somebody maybe from one of these groups is seeing some activity that they might clock as unusual.
Yeah. I'm thinking on the lines of any extra fittings on the aircraft as well. Any unusual fittings, whether they're using the same on the aircraft itself. Mm. Whether there's any, I've seen pictures, still images of like a fitting. It looks like a, you know,
like a nozzle.
It's not like an ordinary jet engine. It's a bit smaller, and I'm sure the likes of them plane spotters will go, we haven't seen that before, but I wonder what that is. But it's whether these people realise whether they can make that leap and go, that's chemtrailing, or whether they're just not aware of anything like that at all. It's a strange thing, but
I tell you that's this story. And I said it again and again. You're saying it, and this is what we're up against. And you know, a lot of people don't like saying sheeple and this, that, the other. An office I was in 2 years ago, and I went out at the last break in the evening, taking pictures on my phone, right? And I got, I'd say 95% of the office were laughing at me on there, all out smoking away and laughing at me. And there was one woman, she was about 50 so, Scottish lady, and she said, "Paul, you're pathetic." She said, "It's always been like that. From when I was a kid, it's always been like that." And everyone sort of agreed with her. And this is what we are up against. So we could, maybe if we talk about these pilots, this, that, the other, they just think it's a natural progression of technology, and that's what's being sprayed.
Yeah, you don't know what they're getting told, do you? You don't know what when they're training or extra training or updating and saying the reason why these the contrails look a bit different now from when you started because of new technology, etc. You're right there, maybe you are up, and with the likes of that, what you mentioned over them people, they are. I've pointed them out. I've pointed. There's a cloud. There's a chemtrail, contrail. Can't you see the difference? And they're looking as much to say, well, no, it all looks the same to me. It's just total denial. Total denial.
Even some of the patterns. I mean, I'm sure these planes are even reversing in the sky. They're just backing up and going up and down, left, right, and centre, all over the place. There's no pattern to it. They just, I mean, and these what worries me now are these chemtrail bombs. I'm trying to do a bit more research. Pippa, have you come across this one?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I spotted something that somebody said they were chem bombing the Hurricane Sandy to nudge it where they wanted it to go.
So, right, mate, guys, thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
How you going, Paul?
Nice to have you on. You haven't been on for ages, have you?
No. I just think it sparked me tonight. So, yeah, no problem. Thanks, guys.
Okay, all right, then.
See you later, Mucker.
Ciao, bye.
That was our own Paul Giovanni there. We're still trying to get Dave on, Pippa. I think he's gone off from the Skype now and he's gone onto the page. I suggested to him to call it, to try calling in the way Paul did, then using it, and then any other callers. We've got about some 20 minutes left, but any callers, you can call in via the CMR page. The instructions are there. It's quite simple, the way it works now. Yeah, that's interesting that what Paul was saying there. With you're not so much trying to convince people, but you're just trying to point out to them, to just, say, give them the benefit of the doubt and say, look, does that look a bit strange to you? That trail there, does it look a bit strange? And it's very difficult with people. It's like, I think I've referred to it before. The pensioner who opens the door to who she believes is somebody from the gas board or from the electric board, because they're wearing the uniform, because they've got a badge. The next minute the house is ransacked, she calls the police and they say, oh, that person that called was a con man, and she say, no, he's from the gas board, no, he couldn't have been, no, I know. And it's just because whether they feel humiliated or what, they just will not accept it. It's unbelievable, people.
Yeah, I was trying to think the other day whether or not I can remember seeing these things in the sky as a child, and to be honest, I can't remember seeing them, but I can't remember not seeing them either. But I guess one way to find out whether or not they were in the sky is to look back at your old family photos, and I've got photographs going back, I wouldn't say what decade, but I can certainly have a look at some of the family photos and check on the sunny days that we were sat on the beaches whether the skies were clear or not, and I can't remember it being like this.
No.
But that is one way to check whether or not you are going mad. Is to think, right, I'll go and have a look at some old photos, and any black and white photos of old family. You don't see the chemtrails.
But the chemtrails themselves. I mean, people will have colour footage from the 1970s. I mean, the chemtrail phenomena really only goes back to maybe the mid-90s to late 90s, most people estimate. So I mean, there'll be plenty of colour footage available to people to have a look at, and it might be worth having a look at that from like the 70s, etc. But it's the other thing with me as well, that even when there's a blue sky, it's like a false blue sky. It's like a hazy blue. It's not that brilliant, sharp, crisp blue sky that you used to get in summers. I don't know whether I'm just being nostalgic or reminiscent, but I'm sure that was a different sky to what we appear to have now. Just completely different blue.
There's a huge amount of aircraft and a huge amount of pollution up there anyway, just because of the thousands and thousands of aircraft we've got in the air at any one point in time. So yes, it is. I think it probably is a different sky, and it certainly is with. I know where we are, we do get clear skies, but we also get a lot of milky skies that are sort of like a very light blue and like a sort of hazy. But I guess, thinking back, did we have that before?
No.
We probably did, but I think I'm more aware of it now because there's so many lines in the sky. You do, well, I do anyway. I'm sort of looking up a bit. I've been aware of the chemtrails debate for about the past 10 years now. So, yes, and certainly having children makes you aware, because this is the future. What sort of future are we leaving to them? Presumably what is up there is coming down at some point. So you're sort of looking at what's in the rainfall, what's in the soils, what's then in the food that we're eating. I mean, maybe it is all water vapour, maybe we are all a bit paranoid, but I think we've got bloody good reason to not trust our government. Just looking back over history, they haven't got a good track record of being honest with us, and there's something, the skies are dirty, there's something going on, and at the very least they should be making an effort to clean them up, and they're not, there's no effort.
It's like the way I describe it, looks like sometimes you used to get grey skies, you used to get clear, crisp blue skies, now we get sort of like a hazy blue, and the as you say, the milky white. It's like, to me, it looks like someone's thrown a dust sheet over us. It's not like we would describe grey skies. But just going back to that you just made a statement there and something popped in my head. I was talking to friends of mine last night, and their son, he's 15, same age as my lad, and he listens to what we're talking about. Obviously we're talking about not just chemtrails but other things that we discuss, and he's aware in the sense that he's listening and he's asking questions. And he said to me, last night, he said, this is a 15-year-old lad, and he said to me, hey George, he said, no, when you first start talking to people about this type of stuff, how do you start? Where do you start? What do you actually say? And it made me think, I thought, if the likes of him, if he's taking in information, if he's listening to us speaking, and he's taking in information, and he was just start talking to his friends at his age, 15 years of age, how does he handle the ridicule that a lot of us have to go through, or the funny looks that we get, or their cranks them?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I said to him, basically, the way I say to people is, if I engage with them, if I do take the time to engage with them, I think it might be worth it. Is that, that the poison in our water, our food's being poisoned, and we're getting sprayed as well, and take the lead from there, sort of thing. But it is a strange thing. What do you think yourself, Pippa? Like from a teenager point of view?
Well, I've got 2 teenage boys, and unfortunately for them, they're fully woken up. I mean, they heard my journey with biometrics. Sort of, I was in the house, we home educate, so they were around when I was having telephone conversations, etc. But actually, my youngest son's friends has a couple of friends that are fully awake. Listen to Alex Jones. They're not somebody who's probably the best person to listen to, but you certainly get an education if you listen to him, and it's a good springboard to go off onto other topics, Alex. And
I think that, yeah.
So I'm positive, and I think I've said this before. And I know there were children aren't getting their information from television. In the US, for the first time, cable companies are not creating any new business. They're actually seeing a decline in cable subscriptions because the younger generations are not watching television. They're going to the internet, and granted, the internet has a lot of fat in it. You have to, be able to use search engines wisely, and I suppose know what you're looking at to a certain extent. But kids are looking at YouTube, and they're looking at all sorts. I mean, one thing that springs to mind is the Gangnam Style. I think it's about 700 million votes, and that's just kids replaying and replaying and replaying, and it's this pointless waste of energy. I've had it on in our house, but at the same point in time, they're also looking at what other people are saying, like Alex Jones, Dan Dix, We Are Changes. There's a lot of switched on children, I think.
There's an interview from last year when I think it was Alex Jones when he done the 24-hour stint, and there's a 2-hour interview on there, and it's just Alan Watts speaking.
Oh, that's great.
Alan Watts, the Scottish Alan Watts. People, because there's 2 Alan Watts, well, the one's passed away and everything, but Alan Watts is the Scottish man that lives in Canada, and there's a 2-hour interview, and he to me is like an encyclopedia, and you can go to dates, to reference points and everything, and I'd recommend anybody, I did have copies of that and I've given them out to people. I'm going to have to do some more copies, but I'd recommend anybody who wants to know how the system that has been imposed on us now, how it came about, where it came from, how it's been implemented, and as well what direction it's going. That interview for 2 hours, it's just Alan Watts speaking, and it's unbelievable. He just covers every aspect of it. Pippa, I'm sorry, I just play a quick song and then we'll come back because we'll have about 10 minutes to finish up. Then is that okay?
Brilliant, yeah.
Okay, just on Alan Watts as well. Anybody who's not familiar with him, go on YouTube. It's Cutting Through the Matrix is Alan Watts broadcasts. I'll put this on and I'll be back after this. About 9 minutes or so left. Just before we carry on, just remember, just to mention next week on the show, we have Lucy Pringle, who is one of the leading experts with regards to crop circles. So we'll be going off into a completely different direction again next week. That's going to be interesting. That's one of Pippa's guests, so she'll probably be taking over the reins for most of the show with that one with Lucy Pringle. Won't you, Pippa, yeah?
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, if you've ever seen a photograph of a crop circle, the chances are that Lucy Pringle's taken it. She goes up in the air and takes photographs of these things and has done quite a bit of research on the different frequencies and what's going on with the crop circles. The crop circles happen all over the world, but it's just not a UK phenomenon. But I've loved looking at crop circles for the past 20 years anyway, and it's going to be really interesting talking to her about what they are.
I think there's a lot more to it than when the two lads come up from down south and said, oh yeah, we did them. So people tend to think, oh yeah, that's been solved now. You know, they've done every single crop circle in the world. You know, it's unbelievable the way people take these things in. Yeah, you know, it is. It's amazing. You know, just because somebody comes out and says, yeah, I've done that. And I remember seeing a documentary a few years ago now where they give not that particular gentleman, but I think there's about 5 or 6 of them, and they went into a field. They give them a geometric figure to do, and it had to be done obviously within the hours of darkness. And I mean, they sort out, but not to the precision. And it was a pretty simple diagram actually, what you had to do. But I mean, they done it, but not to any precision or anything. Not just to some of them that you see, absolutely unbelievable. And I think it's something we've never really covered on this show. And I'm the same as yourself. No, like 20 years. I've been looking at them and what have you. And one of the biggest enthusiasts that I've heard of that's interested in crop circles is Queen Elizabeth II. I believe the family always buy her boots at Christmas and for birthdays. It's all crop circle books, and we know Philip's into ufology big time. You know what I mean? He still gets updates on a daily basis from departments in government and the military, etc. Keeping informed about UFO activity. So you know. So it's not just those nuts, is it?
No. I mean, they're just so beautiful, some of them. I mean, I personally once I thought to almost pull them up so I can see them in a 3D format. You know, make them so I could walk around them and have a look. To me, that's, you know, they should be in 3D and possibly with colour. But there are different things to different people. But what they are is some of them are very mathematically correct, and it's just interesting. And to talk to somebody like Lucy Pringle about this will be a really interesting show.
And it's some of the binary messages that have been encoded in them, whether it's been done by human hand. If it's been done by human hand, then it's absolutely amazing what they've done. If you just take it on from that angle alone, as you say, they are beautiful, some of them, and the intricacy of them is mind blowing when you see them as well.
Yes, they are, and the fact that even if they did or a team of people did it overnight is amazing, because there's no sort of big tramples in the crop from a large team of people. Nobody's ever taken a photograph of a large team of people doing something like that. The only people that have come forward are 2 men. If you buy that one, I think somewhere there's some government cryptology department poring over these crop circles. And what do they mean? Who, what is, why are they happening? What message is it?
I would say so, because this is another thing over crop circles as well, which is the same that I've found over UFOs, alien abduction and all that, is that people tend to, or a lot of people tend to, in general, that UFO sightings and close encounters have only come about since 1947, since the Roswell incident, and all the films, the Hollywood films came out about, you know, men from Mars and all that business. You can go back thousands upon thousands of years, literally. You can go back, you know, 30, 40, 50,000 years to cave drawings that depict UFOs and their inhabitants, and you can go through to classical artists, and there's depictions in religious iconography and in the mainstream paintings and scriptures described right the way through. And with crop circles, people tend to think, oh, this is a fairly modern phenomena, and it's not. It's the same. You can go back in history and look at these diagrams and depictions are there. Maybe not in crop circles, but they're identical patterns, and you see them in crop circles. So it's not. Oh, the lady just said we've got 90 seconds to go. Pippa, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for the show tonight. I apologise to Dave. We don't know what's happened with Dave's audio. I said Blue Chip Pringles on next week. We're going to be talking about crop circles. Thanks to Lisa for the show before. Another brilliant show. Again, only remains for me to say, hope you enjoyed the show. Hope to see you next week. And God bless.
You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now it's our turn.